Everybody, I'm Chris Mayhew, and this is safety. Basically what it is it's a three-phase linking safety pin routine. Now there's a lot of different safety pin routines out there. However, a lot of them use multiple safety pins such as 3 or 4, or a lot of phases, where what I wanted to do was basically cut out all of the phases and just cut it down to 3 super visual, super easy links. So that's what you're going to get here. It's a very tight routine that I've developed over the last 8 years. I've been working with it. This is safety, and I hope you guys like it. Right. So this is what the trick looks like. You have these handed out to a spectator to be examined. They are fully normal safety pins, and whenever you're ready to do this, this is what you do. You hold one pin in the other hand, this pin right behind it. With just a rub, instantly you can get the pins to link. I know what you're thinking. You want to see this again. You weren't paying attention. I know you were looking at that moose over in the corner. I don't know why there's a moose in the corner, but there was. But we'll do this again, okay? I was looking at that moose as well. Watch. Nothing near them. All you have to do is just watch here. Just a rub. Instantly linked. Of course, you can, if you can link them, you should be able to unlink them, right? And all you gotta do is rub. And if you look, they've actually been unlinked the whole time. They haven't been linked at all. For the last part, you can have the spectator hold their hand out and just watch, as all it takes is that, and they're linked. Okay, they weren't actually linked. They were just resting on that part there. But here, we'll do it for real this time. Watch. Just like so. Now the pins are fully examinable. You can hand them to the spectator, poke them in both eyes, blind them. So this will be the last trick they legitimately ever see. So a little history before we get into the actual effect, before we begin, is this trick is based off of the soft pin principle. This was a principle created by Han van Sines, or Han van Sines, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I don't know how you pronounce his name. But Han van Sines, from his trick Unsafety Pins from Apocalypse. It's a great routine, check it out. So yeah, that's what the principle of this effect is, as well as a couple other things. If you're really interested in the linking safety pins plot, there's a couple other sources you might want to check out. Jerry Andrews has some really great work on the safety pins. He has some specific gimmick pins that he's made for his routines. You can find a manuscript that he came out with called Safety Pin Tricks. And he's got a lot of great links and unlinks in that use his safety pins. The biggest inspiration to this routine, though, is Pindemonium by Dan Garrett. In his routine, he has this ending phase where the pin kind of slides down and gets linked, which I absolutely loved. So I wanted to incorporate it into my routine somehow. He also has a lot of other great work on the pin as well, so if you want to check that out, he has re-released the routine in a DVD called Grab That Pinhead, where he teaches it along with Bob Sheets, so I recommend checking that out if you do want to look further into the safety pin plot. But for now, let's get back to this trick. This is called Safety, so let's get into it. So before we begin, I gotta show you how exactly you make a soft pin. So a soft pin is like so. Now, the pins that I use for the actual routine are 2-inch stainless steel safety pins. This is the perfect size, I find. Any bigger and it just is too big, any smaller and it's just too small. So get these 2 inches, okay? Now for explanation purposes, I'm gonna be using a much bigger safety pin. This is a safety pin for kilts. I don't know why I'm doing that, but this is basically how you make a soft pin. So what a soft pin is basically you're going to take all the spring out of this bottom sharp pointy part. We're going to call this the pointy sharp part for explanation purposes, okay? But this is what you do. So basically you're going to bend it past the entire pin, and you just keep going until eventually you'll find that there's just no spring left in it. It's just straight, okay? And this is, you want to do this obviously before you show anybody it. And what I like to do is just put a little bit of a bend in the actual metal itself, because you want to give the illusion that it's still got some tension in it. But once you do this, you'll notice that it looks like the pin is closed, when in fact it's still actually open. It's just hiding behind this part here. Now with a kilt it's not as good, but with a regular safety pin, because the way that they're made, you got this metal kind of barrier there, so that when it's open, this is open right now, you can see it hides it quite well. Now this isn't completely angle proof. Your best angles are either from the front or this way. If they're looking on this way, they might see a little bit of a gap, but to be honest, if you have low lighting, like in a bar situation, you can do this pretty much surrounded. And I have done it surrounded where people are just walking all around me. People are drunk, they don't really care. And honestly, yeah, you can do this surrounded if the lighting is correct, because all you see is metal on metal, so people can't really tell when something is open. But for the most part, you want your angles to be pretty much straight on. Okay, so once you have the pin gimmicked into a soft pin, you're ready to start the routine. Now, before we actually get into the structure of the routine, I want to mention that when you want to get rid of the soft pin, you just simply pull this, and this is a Michael Weber idea. He shows it in his Lifesavers book that he came out with. And you basically just pull it, and now the soft pin is out of it. But because you've conditioned the pin prior, it's much easier now to get the pin back into soft mode, I guess we'll call it. Soft mode goes from normal mode to soft mode. So I'll show you with a regular pin. But basically, once you condition this pin, you'll find that it's very easy to get into soft mode. And I actually start off the routine with the pins in normal mode, I guess we'll call it. And then whenever I'm ready, I'll soft pin the pin right in front of the spectator. All right, so we'll get into the first phase of the routine, and I'll show you how to do that. So here we go. Okay, so now that you have the pin prepared in soft pin, you're ready to begin the routine. So what I actually do before I start the routine is if I'm doing it to one spectator, a couple spectators, I will open take the soft pin, and show it to them first. I'll open it up, let them examine the pin, and whenever they're ready, they'll take it back to me, and then I'll give them the other pin. So this is the normal pin. I give them to this to examine, and while they're examining that pin, I simply just pretend to close the pin up, and now it's already in soft pin mode. So if you notice, it's already opened like so. Okay, let's see if you can do that. Now I'm gonna go to the bigger pins so you can see this a little better. However, they're not as flexible as the smaller 2-inch pins, but we'll just put this into soft pin mode. I like that term, soft pin mode, activate. So anyways, this is soft pin right now. So I do that while everybody's examining the other safety pin. Once they hand it back to me, I go into the first phase. So you have the soft pin now in your hand. You take this pin back from the spectator, and now this is the first phase of the routine. Now I try not to make it as visual as all the other ones, and the reason being is because I want a little bit of build-up. If you start with the first phase being super visual, then you're just kind of on a flat line, and when you do more phases, it never really builds itself up. Where if you start with a little bit of cover, then once you start getting to more phases, you'll find that it really, it builds up the magical part of it, and you can go to different areas from there. So if you're creating any kind of magic, try to get some build up in there. You don't want to start off with the most visual thing first. You want to start off with something, good, but not as visual, and then go from there, so it's a little tip. So this is the first phase. So you have the pin opened like so. You're just gonna hold it in your hands, covered like this. I'm gonna take the other pin, and you want to hold it almost parallel with this pin. I'll show you why in a second, because when you bring it to the pin, you're actually going to link it as you bring it to it. If you start back here and you bring it forward, it looks a little weird that you would go out and inwards to link the pin. But if you start here and you go inwards to there, then it's very natural that that's the direction the path would choose. So from here, what I'm doing, it looks like this from the front, and they're already linked. But what you're basically doing is, this is the opening. You're basically coming up here, linking them, and then holding them in your hand like so. So now the pins are already linked, okay? From here, I like to wiggle them just a little bit, just to let the spectator know that something weird is happening, right? They want to... And from here, all I do is grab the pin, and as I grab it, this thumb actually just pushes this pin and closes it. That's a little weird with these pins because they're not designed like that, but you basically close it as I bring this up, right? And this is a great moment because in the spectator's eye, all they see is this. And when they see the pin come up, now they see this link. So it's a great picture in the spectator's mind. Even though it's not very visual, it's still very powerful for the spectator because in their mind, they just saw them separated a second ago. As soon as I bring it up, now they see that they're linked. Now from here, I don't do a visual unlink because I want that buildup. So from here, this is the soft pin. I let it drop to the ground. And this should be closed. It's not closed right now because these are weird kilt pins, but in regular safety pins, it will be closed. From here, I just unlink them like any normal human being would. All right, so from here, and if you're doing this like me, which I'm using my left hand most of the time, you want to take the soft pin into your left hand. If you do it the other way around, then you're going to be jumbling around with the pins and stuff. So by having the pin taken off onto your left hand, it saves time, and it saves people's time from jumbling around with the pins. So from there, you're going to take this pin, and you're going to hold like this, and we're going to go into the second link. So this is the second phase of this routine, and this is in my opinion, the most visual of all of them. Okay. So the first phase, you got the kind of cluttered thing, but it still looks nice. So the second phase, you go all out. Now you're going to show them the link with no cover, except for a blanket you put in front of it when you do it. But you don't have to use the blanket. So this is what it looks like. You show the pins like so, just a rub, and they link. So how does this work? So similar to the first one, you want to start with the pins this way, parallel to each other. Okay, and this is of course open. And what's happening is the normal linking pin, how a lot of people would do it, would be bringing them up together, doing this kind of big circular action, and then they link. I wanted something a little more clean than that. So what I do here is I actually link it on the way to the pin. So in a smooth motion, what you're doing is you're coming over like this. Once it reaches the pin, you link it as you bring it up to here. But the action should look as if you're just bringing it to the pin to link them there, right? But it actually links as it crosses past with the pin. So it's already linked from here. You don't want to just drop it. I mean, you can. However, I do like to add a little bit of, magical gesture because the spectator doesn't know when the magical moment is. So by adding just a slight rub, that's kind of the motion that causes the magic to happen. Similar to how someone would, snaps their fingers when the card rises to the top. It's already on top, but you always want some kind of action to emphasize when the magic happens. So in this case, just a slight rub, and I show, look, they link, okay? What's nice about this is that this puts the heat on this end of the pin and away from where the link actually happens, which is quite nice. So if anybody ever looks at the pins, they're going to be burning this part. They're not going to be burning this part. So that's the first part of the link. Now to unlink it, you're going to do this. You're going to twist the pin clockwise. What that's going to do is it's bringing the forwardmost pin, and it's going to be putting it on the right side. What this does is when you unlink it, the pin's going to be free from the pin. Now if you do it the other way, which I used to do, when you unlink it, this is now going to be trapped in between the pin, so it's a little more awkward. So by twisting the pin clockwise towards yourself, when you do the unlink, the pin is now free from this one, from the soft pin. Now you can do the normal link like most people do in this type of routine. You do this and then you show that it unlinks. However, I wanted to add a cool visual. I was always a big fan of the linking ring routine when the magician would rub them and then they would show that they've already been separated all along, and I wanted to kind of implement that into this. And it kind of gives it this nice matrix type feel. So what I do is you basically come here and you're going to unlink the pin as you do the rubbing motion. But then rather than separating like this, what you're going to do is you're going to basically just dip them down. And as you dip them down, you just spread them apart. And it gives it this nice kind of depth illusion that they haven't been together at all. You know, they've always been that far apart, which I really like. So we'll go over that one more time. You hold the pin like this. You take this pin, you bring them together, and you give that rub, and you show that they've linked. From here, you twist it counterclockwise. You just give it another rub. Right? You just got to get that one large, maybe 2 or 3 large motions to cover it unlinking. But then from there, you can again get those nice small little rubs, and then you come down and you show that the pins have been unlinked all along. So that's the second phase of the routine. And now we'll get into the link, which is semi in the spectator's hand. So I'll show you how that works. So now we're on to the third phase of the routine. So now what I like about this is it's really not happening in the spectator's hands. However, it gives almost the illusion that it's happening in their hands. And by the end of the routine, hopefully the spectator false memory will kick in and they will actually think that the pins did link in their hand. What happens here is you have someone hold their hand out like so. I don't have spectators in this studio, so we'll just pretend that there's a hand here. But this is essentially Dan Garrett's one of the phases of his linking pin routines. However, I have a few touches on it that I really like. So in Dan Garrett's routine, he does this, where he puts the pin on, he shows it, but then he takes it off. He says, look, it's really on the pin, and that's when he links it, right? It looks great in his hands, however, I can't pull that off. So I wanted something where as soon as that pin was on, it never came off the pin. So this is kind of what I come up with. So what you do here is you have the spectator hold their hand out, and you cleanly show that this pin is on the other pin. Okay, that they're not linked, you're just resting it. Now what you want to do is you want to try to aim for about the middle of the pin. Any further than that, and there's too much distance for that pin to slide down, I found that there's been points where I'm trying to do this and I'm like trying to get it to slide, but it's bent a little, so I'm like, come on, get over, there we go. So if you put it on the middle of the pin, you'll avoid all of that nonsense. So from here, what you do is you switch hands and you have them hold the hand out for just a second. And you're going to do this. Basically, with regular safety pins especially, there's still a little bit of a lip. I don't know if you can see that, but there's just a little bit of a lip where that kind of front part starts on the pin. So it's the same thing with these, a little more evident on it there though. What I do is I place it on here, and what you're going to do is have the spectator hold their hand out and let it slide until it hits that part. Once it hits that part, you're going to stop and you're going to say, ha, linked. The spectator can obviously see it's resting on that part and they're going to be unimpressed. From here, you kind of get this down moment where you say, oh, okay, it was actually just resting on there. And when you do that, you're going to link it at that moment. So while it's here, you're going to link the pin and move it back out of the way so it's a non-move. And you're going to say, sorry, it was just resting on that part, but I'll do it for real. Now from here you switch positions, and now the pin's already linked, and now you get this nice end link where it's on there. From here I usually close up the pin and let it just touch the spectator's fingers a little bit so that they kind of get that feel that it linked and it's on their hand. Now from here, if you want to let the pins be examined from the spectator, you do that Michael Weber thing where you pull the pin out, getting rid of the soft pin, and now they can hand them out for full examination, and they are linked in their hands. Generally, you don't want to have it on the spectator's fingers like this, so I do this, and I open it, and I say, and you can take a look at those, and then I just close it up, show it to the spectator link. So I'll show you this one more time, okay? Let me just soft pin mode this again. Perfect. So from here, you have the spectator hold their hand out, and you cleanly place this on. You just say, watch. The pin's on there right now, but if you just watch it slide. Linked. And you do a laugh like that, really freak them out, and they're like, that doesn't work. From here, you link it as you move it out of the way, saying, I'm sorry, I was just resting on that part there. We'll do it for real, though. And now you just let it basically fall, and you get this nice illusion that it just kind of falls through the pin, and it links at that very moment. And again, once you do that, all the heat's back in this area. It's no longer on this area here. And you just open the pin, get rid of the soft pin, and you can hand it out linked to the spectator for it to be examined. So I'm going to go over this entire routine one more time, but this time we'll use regular size safety pins so you can see it in full action. Where'd that go? Oh gosh. So this is the routine in its full performance, but I'm gonna kind of walk through exactly what's happening, okay, with normal size safety pins. So again, you show the pin from here, you covered it with your fingers, as you show this one. You're gonna link them here, so they're already linked. And you just kind of wiggle it around a little bit using your thumb. Doot, 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 doot. Come over, close that pin up as you bring it forward or upwards, so you get your first link. From here, you let the soft pin dangle. You open up the regular pin, pull the soft pin off, and close up the regular pin. Okay, now you begin phase 2. Now from here, what I like to do is I just, to open up the soft pin again, you just kind of twist it, and as you twist it, you just put a little pressure, and that's going to pop right out onto there, okay? You don't do it here, you do it as you bring it inwards, okay? So the second phase from here, you do it very slowly. You bring it up, and you get them to link, okay? Now, a little pointer here. It does happen every now and then. If you do this and you miss the link, rather than doing this and going, oh, we'll try it again, you know, till you get that. If you do happen to miss that, just go into the regular link that, you know, most magicians do with the wide circles. It's not as nice, but it still works, because the last thing you want to do in a performance is go here, oh, I missed it, let me do it again. You know, you don't want to do that. So if that happens, just go back into the regular link. But this just looks much nicer if you just link it there, you come down, and you drop it, okay? From here, you do the exact same thing, turn it clockwise so that this part is facing the right. You're gonna unlink it there, so it's already unlinked, and then you bring it down and separate them to get that kind of matrix-esque unlink. You have the spectator hold their hand out, and now you do this last phase. So from here, you place this on, you want to get it just over that lip, so when you do it, bring it to about the middle. The spectator hold their hand out. Oh, look, it's linked. Ha 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 ha. There's a train there. The train's coming at me, but it's fine. I'll just continue through. But from here, oh, look, it's linked. From here, you just link it as you put it off to the side, saying, it was actually just resting on that part there. And from here, you really link it. You close up the pin there, so now everything's fully sealed. And if you'd like to hand it out, just open it, show it really is linked. You can close it up and hand it to the spectator that way. Now everything's fully examinable, and you can use any safety pins with this. You just got to do a couple preparations at the beginning, making that pin soft. But other than that, I hope you enjoy the routine, and that is safety.